I recently read an article, forgive me, I don't know where, but it was talking about, longevity being one of the key factors for a lot of people's success within companies. They've been the CEOs, the CIOs, the MDs, they've all been at these companies for 10, 15, 20 years as soon as they came out of university. I was about to say 10 years, but yeah, I've been working for longer than that. But yeah, they've stayed in one place. And that's kind of been not the shortest way, but apparently the easiest way to kind of move up the career ladder. But for a lot of Black women, that's just not the case. I've also seen this. You're somewhere, you're within a company for the same amount of time, as others, but your pace of progress is dramatically, significantly different. And sometimes it's been because the goalpost has constantly been changed. And I was thinking to myself, like, how can that be possible? Like, what underlies that? And there were a few things. And I think, this is sometimes, there's two parts to this. There's parts that the manager can do, but there's definitely parts that we as the individual can also bring to the table. So like on the managerial side, what I've also seen is that from a leadership company perspective, these are the company's objectives over the next year, A. Then they get translated into departmental objectives. Then potentially the departmental objectives still don't correlate to the job you do. So you're given relatively obscure objectives that you have to try to reach. But in the course of the years, you realize that these obscure objectives are not correlated to anything that requires you to progress. Because it might be, in that case, your manager doesn't really want to do it. It's not an exercise that loads of people enjoy. So, this is the part where we as the individual, I'm going to say we as women, Black women, have to start looking specifically at two things. We have to look at the relevance of the company's, not the relevance, we have to look at how we can translate the company's overall strategic goals or the departmental strategic goals into our role. But there's another part to this. We have to see how this matches and correlates to promotion criteria. So sometimes, what you see on the one side is, we want somebody who can move into leadership has to show that they're very collaborative. But actually, when you speak to your boss, they might say, well, you actually have to say what you've done particularly, which kind of speaks against what you've been told to be able to be promoted. But this is where, as the individual, we have to start taking more action and more control to say, well, I would like to reach XYZ point. The outline for being promoted or the guidelines for being promoted shows that I need to be able to display A, B, C, D, E characteristics. And I believe I can do that because I've taken our objectives and then seen how things or how, what's the word I'm looking for? I've forgotten the word. How tasks, thank you, I remembered it. How tasks that I do are correlated to A, the strategic outlook, but also B, to the promotion criteria. Because once you build that trifecta, essentially what you're saying is, I've understood the remit of the company's strategic outlook. I've understood how I need to develop as a person, personal development, career-wise, and I'm giving that to you as my manager to do something with it, i.e. make it almost impossible for them without real hard thought to deny your promotion. Because I was not experienced I had to learn that for myself, like finding the information, extracting it, seeing how I can translate it so that at a certain point when the goalpost is moved, you're like, but how is this possible? And it does happen because there's also part of, managing our careers, which is not waiting till year end appraisal time. I literally took to sending monthly bulletins to align to the strategic goals and also aligned to promotion potential. Like, what is it that I need to get to the next step? This is how I'm showing you. And once you start to do that, you build a case, because at a certain point, if the goalpost still keeps moving, you still have a canonized version almost of your progress, of the reaction to that. Either be it, your manager might say, well, I didn't see it like that, but then that opens the door to discussion. And from a manager's perspective, yes, it is more time intense. Yes, it is more involved, but this is part of being a manager. It's not necessarily always to create someone's career, but it's definitely to help and guide those who come to you and say, I want more, I want to progress. Because in showing that you want to progress, that's still showing that you're loyal to the company. You are willing to, the person who's come to you when you're in the manager's seat, they've shown you that they're willing to invest their time and effort to do more, to learn more, to stretch themselves, to be an increased asset to the company. And as the manager, I'm actually going to use the word obligated. You're obligated to do something with that, because that's what a manager should be doing. So that's one of the things that I think about in terms of progression. Career progression is absolutely part of managers to guide, to support, but we as the individuals still need to kind of meet them halfway, but translate it in a way that incorporates company strategy, that incorporates milestones. How do I move along this career path? Incorporates all of that, but you make it tailored to you, because investing in that time just helps you build as the individual a better case to move forward. And it also helps you build a better case to say, well, I am doing everything here. If we look at any factors, why aren't I coming forward? Because at a certain point, when everything's in black and white, especially when you're a woman, especially when you're a black woman, it leaves very few excuses as to why you're not coming forward. In fact, it only leaves two factors, to be perfectly honest. So I'll leave that there today. As usual, thank you very much for your time, and have a good day.